Go Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
So Jesse,
have we started?
We were going to be focused, and then Jesse,
It was like we're like, man, we have so much to talk about.
we got a
know what
limited
you're
amount of
talking
time,
about.
so
I don't
Steve
know.
can get home and let Iggy out and go for a workout, because that's why if the show's a little shorter today, it's Steve's fault. But then Jesse, I'm kidding. This is a joke.
No,
but it's also the truth.
Much like a pair of headphones, Adam. I'm trying to get jacked.
Wow.
It wasn't good.
No, it wasn't.
We were going to be focused, and then Jesse reads out this headline, and the headline says,
It wasn't even reading out the headline. He just coyly goes, "Hey guys, did you know that Lindsay Lohan was racial profiled?"
She was.
Oh, okay.
how was Lindsay Lohan
She
racially
got
profiled?
stopped at the airport because she was wearing a scarf. She said,
Wait,
when I was flying to New York recently, I was wearing a headscarf. And I got stopped at the airport and was racially profiled for the first time in my life. The agent opened my passport and saw Lindsay Lohan and started apologizing and said, "Take off your headscarf." So I think she was racially profiled.
Or maybe Lindsay Lohan makes stuff up. Is that possible?
She said it's okay, but what scared me was that moment. How would another woman who doesn't feel comfortable taking off her headscarf feel?
Jesse, what site do you have open right now?
Who published this?
What? And why isn't it sportsnet.ca? Is my question. Or cap friendly.
I'm
or
quoting
anything.
Lindsay Lohan. She told this to Good Morning Britain.
I like Good Martin.
Wow. All right. Well, that's wow.
Martin. Anyway,
She got racially profiled.
so like Brooks like.
So Brooks Laich is on waivers, guys. We're just not even. Wow.
no.
Brooks Laich is on waivers, and I automatically assumed that when Brooks Laich went on waivers, that it might have been on conditional waivers, which would have absolved him and the Leafs. The Leafs obviously would have still had that cap hit, but then he would have been free to go somewhere else, right?
Yeah, it would have terminated his contract, but Jesse. I don't know if it would have freed them of the cap hit. But it doesn't matter because that's not what happened. I hate you guys. You know what?
It's not the story.
It's one way to jazz up a waiver wire story, you know?
It's not the story. It's the way Jesse told it. Like right
goes,
as we're about to go to air. Hey guys.
Did you guys hear that Lindsay Lohan was racial profiled? Just the way.
I thought it was important to know.
This is why I don't know if I could ever open up to Jesse about something because
Hey, guys.
I feel like he might be like, you know what? That sounds really hard, man. And in his head, he's like this freaking idiot.
Can you imagine Jesse as a dad? Like, no empathy. Oh, you scraped your knees? Well, they'll heal.
It's a real bummer about your homework. I feel bad for you. I would help you, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but I'm not going
Brooks
to.
Laich.
So Brooks Laich. So it's not.
He's on waivers, I assume, in order to be called up.
Well, that is interesting. That is interesting because
that is not 100% official.
it's
He's just
official
put
that
on
he is
waivers.
not on unconditional waivers.
Yeah, you can just put someone on waivers and be like, all right, and now nothing. I believe that happened a few years ago with Mike Zigomanis. He was with the Leafs, got put on waivers, and then they didn't send him to the Marlies right away. They eventually did, but I assume Laich is on his way up, unless someone claims him.
Just so we're clear on the rule, when you send somebody down and they clear waivers, which Brooks Laich did at the beginning of the season, there's a 30-day window where you can bring them up or down without clearing waivers again, right?
I'm sure someone will correct us if we're wrong, but yeah, he was put on waivers at the beginning of the season. No one claimed him, so he was sent down. Now, several months have passed. They've put him on waivers again, I assume, so that either someone will claim him or he can come back up.
Okay. Now,
That is my assumption.
as a team that is looking for a centerman on the fourth line,
A depth center.
a depth center,
For the longest time, I'm like, I don't know. I think we already have a guy who matches that description.
now his face-offs are not impeccable,
Yeah,
which is really the entire role.
I was trying to find face-off percentage on AHL, on the AHL website, and it's because it's such a great website, you can't actually find it. It's really good.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's only played 22 games this year. 1 goal, 5 assists.
Some injury,
Some injury. Some probably just giving the kids a chance.
Weirdness.
Is the timing funny because of his comments on Sunday?
Well, no, and that's what I wanted to bring up. So he did make comments on Sunday to an outlet that said, basically, if the Leafs don't have a plan for me, I'd like the chance to go and have at it with another team so I can go and try to win a cup. He said, I believe, crazily, that my best years are ahead of me. To which everybody said, that's great for you, but we don't think so. Like, he's not, he used to be a top 6 guy.
I think he used to be as high as like the Caps' second line center.
Yeah.
I think behind Backstrom.
I mean, he used to score 20 goals and get, 40, 50 points a year?
He was a great player. There's a reason he's making $4.5 million. Like, it's not a fluke.
So he might not be as bad as he was last season, and he wasn't even really that bad.
I mean, it's so hard to judge
and the Caps
anyone.
were a very deep team last year.
It's so hard to judge anyone who played for the Leafs in the final 3 months.
Exactly. So I wonder if the Leafs are looking at this, because we know that Freddie Gauthier is now up too, because Marner's on the IR retroactive last 5 days ago?
February 15th.
So he'll be on the IR available till not until Thursday?
Not until Thursday.
And I guess that's probably saving them some money. I would think.
Tiny bit.
A roster spot more than that.
Yeah, for sure. But
Yes,
I wonder,
yes.
They brought up Gauthier, now Laich's coming up, assuming he clears
Maybe.
waivers. Assuming Brooks Laich clears waivers, do you dress Gauthier or do you dress Laich? Or do you dress Ben Smith?
Well, there's a reason Freddie Gauthier is playing against the Jets. Supposedly, he was taking line rushes, and I guess by the time you listen to this, you'll know. I think it all works out perfectly conveniently, right? Marner goes on IR. That's sad. But Levo's been great, so there's no reason to call up a spare winger. Your spare player is already a winger, and he's great. Perfect. What aren't you satisfied with? Well, we're not really satisfied with Ben Smith on the fourth line. All right, let's call up Freddie Gauthier. He was the last guy up. We would also like another center, but we do have Brooks Laich. So, yes, the comments were made recently, but what day is today? Today is February 21st. No time better than the present than to call him up and see if you still have an NHL player. A guy who can play fourth line center. And fourth line center on a much better team than the one he played on last year.
He would really be called on to center probably the penalty kill.
He can kill penalties, yep.
And then the occasional drive some possession, hopefully get not a defensive zone start.
I mean, you win a face-off or two.
Yeah, just like, because 5-on-5, they're not playing much. That fourth line is not playing that much. And honestly, thank God, because it hasn't looked good. Soshnikov
That's me
good.
with Roman Polak. I'm like, man, if you only played on the penalty kill, I'd be all for you.
Right, exactly. So I wonder if, why not give him a shot?
I mean, this seems like an evaluation period. I'm surprised they didn't do it a little sooner. Well, actually, no, because this will cost them a little bit of money if he does become a Leaf. Or someone takes him from you, and you go, okay, well, that backup plan's gone. Now we got to look at something else.
Let me throw this at you. Apparently to pry Brian Boyle out of Tampa, and assuming Tampa's still in it because Stamkos is on the ice as of this morning, and Tampa definitely considers himself still in it, to get Brian Boyle out of Tampa, the rumor is, and it's been reported everywhere, first-round pick.
Yeah, you're on drugs. You're on drugs.
Now, if you are, if you're one of those people, first off, you're not giving up a first-round pick to get Brian Boyle.
If you think that's fair value for Brian Boyle, you need help.
That tells me Yzerman doesn't want to give him up. Fair enough.
I mean, yeah, the Leafs don't want to give up Austin Matthews, but every single player has a price, so the price is Connor McDavid. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So
I would gladly trade him for, sure.
I don't
Wayne Gretzky, I mean,
I don't think you could trade Connor McDavid for anything and get fair value back.
Yeah, you could. Give me Crosby, Malkin, Letang.
and this is the thing. I would never trade Wayne Gretzky. Okay, what if we gave you all this stuff and $15 million? I'll consider trading Wayne Gretzky. I would never trade Eric Lindros. Okay, well, what if we gave you
Peter Forsberg,
literally a team and $10 million or something like that? All right, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
And also, Lindros doesn't want to play for your team. Perfect. Everyone's got a price. Perfect. Everyone's got a price.
So Brian Boyle's cost you a lot.
Yeah,
Brooks Laich.
I don't think the Leafs are honestly looking at that. And if they do,
I don't think the Leafs are looking at it. But I'm thinking from another team's perspective. If you're the one of the teams that's picked up the phone to Tampa and been like, "Hey, what's Brian Boyle? First round pick. Yeah, see you later, Steve."
Yeah.
Then you go, "What the heck? You don't have much to lose on Brooks." Like I think it's $1.2 million is cap hit for the rest of the year.
Jesse, can I borrow your laptop?
Sure.
Because there is a team. I mean, why are we in sports? Because we like sports.
Love sports.
What's our favorite part about sports?
Well, I love the games.
I do love the games.
But
They're
we
exciting.
so rarely spend any time on them. So it's always about the business around the game.
I think it's the games.
Yeah.
I love the stories.
The stories, for sure.
Because games are full of them. Wouldn't it be so wonderful? So gosh darn wonderful. And with projected cap space of just $402,000. So I don't think it's going to happen. But Washington, man. Washington. Wouldn't that be such a nice story?
What if Washington picked up the phone and said, "Hey, if you can retain salary or pull someone from our system that costs you nothing,
I'm just throwing it
we'll
out
pull
there,
up
man.
we'll pull up a two-way guy that isn't going to make the team ever."
Okay, so I'm just looking at their team. They got Backstrom, obviously. Marcus Johansson, I think, plays center. Daniel Winnick is listed just as a pure center, which I don't think makes any sense. Kuznetsov is center wing. You got guys like Burakovsky's listed as a sometime center. Travis Boyd or Boyd Travis, I'm not actually sure. I've never heard of this person. I don't know, man. Wouldn't it just be so nice?
It would be cool.
He wouldn't even demand that you play him every game, man.
No. He'd be a soldier.
Wouldn't it just be such a nice story?
Yeah,
I don't know.
and it would,
I don't think that'll work.
But he would be a good fit somewhere, and he does.
Toronto.
Well, yeah.
I think.
People have brought up recently, too, to potentially solve this issue, because it doesn't look like Freddie Gauthier can keep with the play. That's part of the reason they sent him down. It's
Not yet.
It's gap control, it's speed, it's these sorts of
It's
things.
falling down too often.
Yeah. And it's not that you don't want the GOAT to succeed, but he wasn't succeeding. So you don't want to put him in a position where he is constantly not succeeding, and then it kills his confidence, right?
But he's a better option than Ben Smith right now.
Yes, he is.
Who is he's not, whatever was bugging him, I think it was, I want to say fingers. Whatever was wrong with him is just, it's not better. It's screwed with his timing. It's screwed with something. The guy's not very useful right now. And I specify right now because, I mean, yeah, his numbers were never awesome, but they were better than they are currently. So what's the problem? What's going on here? Let's throw in Freddie the GOAT and see if he can solve him for the short term.
So if Brooks Laich doesn't get claimed, there are teams that can pick up the phone and go, if you pick up half, we'll pick up half. So we'll pick up $600,000.
And it's half
of the $1.2 million.
It's half of like what's left.
$1.2 million. Because he's a $4.5 million cap player, but he's only got $1.2 million left because there's only 24 games left. So
I don't see why a team wouldn't take the chance. And people go, oh, well, look at his AHL numbers right now. Well, he's not an offensive dynamo.
You're not looking for that. You're looking for reliability. You're looking for a guy who can play the position. And that's the thing. Like, as long as to me, with that fourth line, it's like you're managing weakness. Because they're so not, like, you could see it on the ice. When the other three lines are on, you see the level of play go up. And as soon as that fourth line hits, it's like, oh my goodness, what are we in for? It's literally like jumping on the back of a cow at the rodeo. Like, what's going to happen?
Unless Sosh has the puck.
Yeah.
I'm like, the other guys don't have the puck.
Oy.
That's the other thing.
They never do.
Oh, what was the number? I think it was before the Carolina game. So I talked to Andrew Berkshire because one thing that I know he and his company know about is effectiveness of a hit. We just look at hits as, whoa, it's big and whoa, draining the opponent. Yeah. But what do you
Being the sheriff.
Being the sheriff. But what do you do? Why do you hit? You hit to take the puck away.
Yeah.
It is actually a possession strategy. Mm-hmm. You know, so no, I would rather have a guy that hits instead of a possession player. Well, an effective hitter is a good possession player.
Steve, stop it with your numbers.
I know.
Mr. Scientist.
I think the number was something like, heading into the Carolina game, Matt Martin had laid 215 hits so far this season. The number of hits that actually separated a player from the puck
Get ready for this, guys. Get ready.
25, which means 11.7% of his hits matter.
Yikes.
And which you could say, well, okay, even if the guy didn't have the puck, he crushed him. How many of those hits, and I'm not trying to take this away from Matt Martin, but how many hits really, really matter? Like, how many hits really, really, like in the first period, you're still feeling them by the third? I don't know.
Not many anymore.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that. If you're hitting clean, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And so it's not just Ben Smith on that line, but Babcock obviously likes what Matt Martin brings to the table. Sosh, there's no worry there, at least not right now. You got to address the fourth line situation, and they're doing that. Mm-hmm. I think these are two of the cheapest options they have.
Try them. You got 11 days till the trade, or 10 days now till the trade deadline. Try it.
Why not? I wonder if Ben Smith also may go to waivers.
Wait, is it? Oh my God, I think it's 9 days to the trade deadline.
It's real close.
Because it's next Wednesday, isn't it?
It creeps up on you, man. It creeps up on you. I had all these things I wanted to write planned, and I was just kind of finishing up what I posted to sportsnet.ca this morning, and was just kind of like, oh, I have like a week to write this stuff.
You better get on it.
Yeah.
We do have a trade that we should talk about.
Which was,
Michael Stone, pending UFA, goes from Arizona to Calgary for 2 conditional picks. I don't know what the conditions are, but
Is
I believe
he a pending UFA?
Apparently.
Jesse, can you check that? I think he has a year left.
Okay, what I read said condition or pending UFA, but I could
I'm
be
sorry.
wrong. Hey man, I could be wrong. Calgary for a 3rd in 2017 and a conditional, I believe, 7th in 2017, or it might be conditional 5th.
5th.
Conditional 5th. I wrote that down incorrectly. I don't know what the condition is, but I do know this. Coyotes will pay half of Stone's salary.
And therefore cash it.
And a bunch of Calgary Flames fans reached out when we said this. I really didn't see Calgary's blue line being a problem. But I guess beyond Brody, Giordano, and Dougie Hamilton, it sort of is.
Well, they have no shortage of players. They have numbers. It's just a matter of, are they any good? And the interesting thing with Michael Stone has been, and again, we sort of talked about this, but we were focusing on Colorado. How do you properly judge a team that has been so bad from the opening game of the season till now? How do you judge them? With the Coyotes, Stone, prior to this year, had 2 really nice seasons. He's only kind of been bad this season. Now, is that because he has been bad? I haven't watched enough of him to know, but is this because he's been bad or the team around him has been bad? Could be both. Could exacerbate the problem. I don't know.
Could be a good pickup for them.
Stone is a UFA.
Oh, all right. I'm wrong.
But that could be a good pickup for Calgary if he's had a better year.
Could be. And
or
now I wonder
if he's playing with better players, that is.
Is someone heading out?
In Calgary?
Yeah. I mean, now they have 8, 9.
You have England, you've got Weidman, you've got...
Just signed Bartkowski.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. And they also, I mean, Arizona taking half of his salary also probably lends itself to the Flames are not done.
Treliving's a bright GM, and you got the influence of Brian Burke in there, or the alleged influence of Brian Burke in there, and that guy loves his small moves. He loves tinkering. He loves the little tiny moves.
Yeah, Calgary currently has 8 defensemen in there.
Who do they have? Can we name?
Yes.
Giordano, Hamilton, Weidman, Brody, England, Stone, Joki Paka, and Bartkowski.
Yeah, beyond those 3, beyond that 3-headed monster they got, that's a lot of spare parts.
It was interesting hearing Treliving talk about it because he said, "There's no way Stone a savior for us." But he's a stabilizing force on the back end, and that's kind of what we need. And I just, again, I thought last year, I was like, man, Calgary's defense is set. They're good. Yep. But even then, they've got, $15, $16 million wrapped up in Brody, Giordano, and Dougie Hamilton, and rightly so. They're great defensemen. So you'd think, hey, that's it. But that's the same problem the Leafs have.
It's the same
Riley
problem everyone has.
Gardner, and Carrick is great for what he is.
I think he's going to be.
He's going to be great. Yeah. Has he had his moments this year? Yeah, he's had his moments. But then it kind of falls off, and when it falls off, it's not the best. And we've been hot and cold on Polak or on Hunlak, Polak and Hunwick.
Yeah.
But it is one of those. It's not as glaring a weakness as say our fourth line is, but it's something that could use some upgrading.
They're your bottom pair of defensemen, and do they play like it? Yeah, because they are. You know what I mean? Like your third pair.
Let me ask you this.
Isn't supposed to be great.
Let me ask you this: on a cup-winning team, are Hunwick and Polak your 5 and 6?
I mean, probably not. But if you look at the past cup winners, and this is what I actually wrote about, all their additions are depth additions, right? So you look at like what Chicago had in 2015. I think for their bottom pair, I'm trying to remember who their bottom pair was, but I think they would have killed for Hunlak.
Yeah. Well,
they didn't have anything.
Chemo Timonen barely played. Like he just didn't.
And he wasn't cheap.
No,
I think he
wasn't.
was a second and a fourth, or at least a second. He wasn't cheap. And I don't know. Are we going to get to that later in the show?
Yeah. No, but you can talk about it. Talk about it now.
Well, basically, I looked back at the 11 Stanley Cup winners we've had since the cap was introduced, and two things are apparent. One, buying, even for a depth player, is extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And two, really good teams don't have to buy. Or they don't have to buy very much. I think there have been two teams that I would call major buyers.
LA?
Since 2006. No, not even LA.
You don't think the Jeff Carter trade was a big...
That's not...
No.
See, the way I justify that not being a buy is they added to their core. Jeff Carter had 10 years left on his deal. That's not a buy. Like a buy is a guy who's got like he's a pending UFA or RFA. Even RFA you could justify, well, at least you have his rights. Mm-hmm. But Jeff Carter, that's just a heist. That's just a really good trade. And if I remember correctly, they weren't even in a playoff spot when they made it.
And I think they made it into 7th or something and then won the cup.
Eighth.
Eighth, was it?
Eighth, and they beat the President's Trophy winning Vancouver Canucks in round one. I am sorry, Canucks fans who just groaned.
Yeah, because that deal, you make it at any time.
Yeah,
right? So
it's
it's
true.
not a buy.
True. Mm-hmm. But like Coberle, like Boston getting Coberle was a
that's a huge buy. So I would say Carolina in 2006, they spent a decent amount on Doug Waite and Mark Recchi, and they were worth it. And they weren't just depth ads. And Caberlet was not a depth ad at all for Boston, but the rest, like Vermette costing a first is outrageous. But they won, so who cares? Mm-hmm. No one cares.
We said it at the time. It's outrageous.
This is why, like I don't want the Leafs to I don't want them to be sellers because I would like to see them make the playoffs. But you have a chance to take advantage of a team that is willing to be stupid.
What did Roman Polak get?
It was 2 seconds last year. You're not going to get that this year. But
maybe.
Well, dude, who's selling this year? There's two teams selling this year.
So far. So I've been thinking about this, actually. So let's say the Leafs get nothing for Polak, Hunwick, and let's throw Ben Smith in there because everyone does for some reason. Is that a big deal?
You got to sell high on Ben Smith, by the way.
You couldn't possibly be selling lower. Is it a disaster if they don't?
No.
I don't think so at all. You had Hunwick for 2 years, and he was your soldier for this garbage team and was an effective penalty killer for 2 years. You got 2 years worth of value out of him.
And you were able to put him on your Winter Classic poster.
Yeah.
Which I think was key.
Roman Polak, you already sold him once. You getting him back is basically cheating. How could you be mad that you didn't get to milk that cow again? Not everyone can be Daniel Winnick. Stop being so selfish.
But you got to think, 27 other teams are going to be buying because they think they're in.
I think the Leafs
can sell.
I think they sell Polak, man.
Yeah.
I definitely think they do.
Yeah.
You know what? I bet.
Who's selling? No one is selling.
If you could be this special commodity.
I think this is the way. I think this is the way the minds of competitive people work. They're going. Everyone right now is going. You know what? We're in it. Mm-hmm. We're in it. And the closer they get to the deadline, I think they go. And that means we can win it all. But we're gonna stand pat. We're going to stand pat with what we got because we're here in this position because we are a good team to begin with. And then Calgary acquires Michael Stone, and although it's a small trade, some teams going, we could bolster our back end.
Well, if it only
And then-
cost them a third and a conditional fifth.
And
you
look at
flip
how
Polak
cheap
for a
it was.
fourth?
And then and then all of a sudden, all these teams start flying a little close
I
to
would
the
sell
sun.
Polak to the Montreal Canadiens if it was the right return. I would sell him to the Ottawa Senators. Hey, listen, if Boston can give up Claude Julien to the Montreal Canadiens, we can sell Roman Polak to anybody in the conference. I don't
We gave
care.
enough to the Senators. So
Yeah, exactly. And wouldn't that be hilarious if the Leafs and Sens play and it's Phaneuf and the Leafs? Like, come on, how
Phaneuf and
perfect is that?
Polak.
Yeah. By the way,
Phaneuf-Lak.
it's amazing how young Leaf fans perceive the Leafs. Because I was tweeting, you know what? I want to see the Leafs play the Sens in the playoffs. That would be amazing. And so many younger folks on Twitter were like, oh man, but they have our number this season. And I'm like, whoa. You guys need to read up on your Leafs history. This is how it works. The Sens own the Leafs in the regular season. Then the playoffs come and inexplicable sweep.
Yeah, true.
That's how it works. Inexplicable sweep, and at one time there was a 7-game series. Wasn't one of the
Patrick Lalime just all of a sudden lets in a goal from center. Who
There
knows?
you go. Wasn't one of the sweeps, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't one of the sweeps the Sens were the 2 seed and the Leafs were the 7th?
Yes, and I think
How?
I think wasn't there only one sweep?
I think there might have been
Because
two.
okay, maybe. But I remember Sundin scoring like an overtime goal in that series when the Leafs weren't. Literally, the Leafs snuck in that year.
Was that the one where he stutter stepped the slap shot near the blue line? Oh, it's just
beautiful.
an amazing one.
Grade 7, man. Grade 7. That's how long ago that was. Grade
God, it
7. I
makes me
remember
so
school the
upset.
next day talking about it. That's how much that goal mattered. Now, we got to go to break. When we come back, we got to talk about the Leafs this weekend. Plus, the Leafs are after your money again. And you know what? You'll be happy to give it up because the new St. Pat's jerseys are up and they look amazing. When we come back on Sportsnet 590, The Fan. So, just to confirm, Leafs swept the Sens one time, right?
Yes, in 2001.
Grade 7. I remember.
Steve, do you have more
That's
to say?
one thing I actually remembered correctly. Hey, how about a round of applause for that? Come on, right? Come on.
and the Stone trade. I'm over 2.
Now, the Leafs this weekend.
Who do they got? I know it's the Jets tonight.
No, I meant like
Oh, this past weekend.
this past weekend.
Oh,
We should recap.
I'm sorry.
We do have the Jets tonight. Jesse, can you pull up the schedule for this week? But Ottawa bad.
Well, I don't. That's not how I see it.
How do you see it?
I'm trying this new whole optimism thing. So Ottawa gets up 2-0.
Trying this new thing.
I know, it's
called
crazy.
jogging.
I could also be yogging with a soft J. Their first 2 goals that put them up 2-0 were both deflections. One wasn't even off of a Senator. How bad can I actually feel about that? Leafs go up
3-2.
3-2. The 3-3 goal was bad. Very, very bad. And I isolated screen caps in my LFR video, which I rarely do. But it was just such an especially bad play. I don't remember who the Sen in the corner was. I want to say Kyle Turris. Riley's got him. He's got him. Nikita Zaitsev has the front of the net.
Nobody's there, though.
Nobody's there, though. You can make the argument he should have cheated up because no one's there. Hey, great for you for being there, but no one's there to cover, so don't worry about it. Connor Brown is sort of preoccupied with Erik Karlsson, who's up at the right point, but then he kind of leaves his man. And Bozak is there doing what?
Whee!
Doing what? Like, hey, if you know X's and O's, you let me know.
Can you tweet these out? Have you tweeted them out?
I don't think I have.
Tweet them out together in a tweet.
I might. It
Or
just
put it in-
seems unnecessary right now.
Oh, okay.
Well, because they won their last game and everyone's happy.
Okay, fair.
Why ruin everyone's bad mood?
Okay, can you put it on Reddit so people can see it?
Oh, there you go. Okay, so I'll do that.
You promise?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's in the video.
It is in the video. Yeah,
it's in the
why are you
video.
making me do work?
Timestamp the video and then throw it up that way.
You know what you should do? You should watch my video and just kind of leave it on repeat
Yeah.
and just clicks, dog. Views, bruh.
Anyway.
Minutes watched, bruh. But I just looked at the Leafs. And yeah, they lost on a power play goal and then the 2 empty netters. Who cares? They're empty netters.
And that was a bad penalty by Kadri. Come on.
Yeah, and
Come on,
believe me,
Nazem.
I
Like,
always stick up
really?
for Nas, but like you can call that. It was an honest loss. I didn't look at it as a tragic loss where the team played poorly. It was an honest loss. 2 bounces. You came back, got 3 goals. 1 especially dumb play and a really good shot to let them tie it. And then you gave up a power play goal, which you're going to do if you take penalties, right?
Right.
So I didn't view it as a disaster. I have a hard time dumping on Freddie Anderson for that game. Again, 2 deflections, a point-blank shot from a guy who has an amazing shot, and a power play goal. All the core players did their part. And in my eyes, misplay by a couple vets. Kadri with the penalty and Bozak with the covering no one. Mm-hmm. In my eye, that's the difference of the game. So I look at the key parts of the Leafs and I go, well, they didn't lose that game.
Then going into Carolina.
A great redeeming night for the JVR Bozak line.
You called them out in your video.
I did, because I'm so tired of that line needing Marner. I'm so tired of that line seemingly needing motivation. There are nights where JVR looks invisible, and it's frustrating because I know he's not that player.
Because he's so talented.
He's an exceptional player. I want a player to give me the same effort night in and night out. I think I get that from Matthews. I am going to get yelled at for this, but I don't always see that from Nylander. I've seen it recently. Holy crap. Mm-hmm. It's one of the Leafs' best players. I see it from Marner. Marner's always got it. JVR and Bozak, man, they're just so hot and cold, and I don't like the idea that they're having to depend on rookies to get them fired up. I should be able to... Why can't you split those 2 up? Is what I don't understand. Wouldn't you love to see a prolonged opportunity of JVR and Matthews?
Yes. Desperately.
Or JVR and Kadri. They have chemistry. They've played together before. But I don't know.
Are you keeping JVR with Bozak to prop Bozak up?
Are you keeping them together because you want the young kids to develop amongst themselves?
That also...
Isn't it weird that Matthews has played with approximately 0 vets the entire season?
Isn't that interesting? And by the way, he's on pace for 40 goals.
It's...
We'll get to that.
It's so dumb. But anyway, great redeeming night for them. As I dump on them repeatedly. Matthews with arguably the goal of the year. Mm-hmm. Or at least for him.
Hey, redeeming line for that. But can we just talk about Connor Brown and his 2 goals first? Come on, Connor Brown, everybody.
Dude, he's on pace for close to 40 points.
That's
as a rookie.
That's pretty good for an NHL player.
Now, I would love to know, and I didn't bother looking it up, and I should have, but I would love to look at Leafs rookie seasons since the year 2000. Where will Connor Brown's rank if you ignore all the other rookies on this current team?
I'd like to know that
Probably
too.
top 5. He'd be up there with Alex Steen.
Alex Steen?
Steen or a Stajan.
I don't think Stajan had that many points.
I don't know.
I think Connor Brown would be top 3.
Maybe a Pokahosky. Maybe
Andropov.
I'm trying to think of the best. You realize how shallow this pool is.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think he's top 3 at the very least.
He's one of the better rookies they've had. I should. Yeah, where does this group of Leafs, where does Zach Hyman rank?
He's got to be top 5. Outside of Marner, Nylander, Matthews.
5th or 6th on the current team, and 2nd
all time
of the last 15 years, something like that.
You could even go 20.
I know. It's that goofy.
Obviously, Austin Matthews' goal was incredible.
Jesus.
And everybody was getting offended because it was compared to Ovechkin's behind the back goal.
It was the first goal I thought of.
And
Ovechkin's is better. It's the first goal I thought of, though.
But Matthews is a second. And a second to that goal is pretty good.
I'll take it. How about it's amazing that he drove the net, flew
one way,
and friggin' backhand 5-hole while falling down? Why can't that just be incredible? How dare you all?
Let's take away from that.
Yeah.
Let's tell you how it's not incredible.
Pish posh.
Curtis McElhinney with the shutty.
He looked great.
4-0.
He looked great.
Okay,
he stopped every puck. I'm not going to say he looked great.
But he stopped every puck.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all you need.
Man, Reimer, whenever he put up great numbers, which is currently, by the way, never looked great. That's why so many people were uncomfortable with him. He plays a haphazard, ugly style.
Mm-hmm. So did Patrick Waugh.
So did every goalie
in the
prior
90s.
to 2005.
Yeah. Cujo.
Holy smoke! I still remember. Leafs TV wanted me to put together an accum of Curtis Joseph footage for some reason. They wanted me to go through all these old beta tapes and use this little machine to. It's amazing how many places still use these things, and they're such a pain. And they're just starting to switch them over to digital. And I pray for anyone who still works there. Hopefully, it's all digital now.
Pretty new, Steve.
Oh my God! In 2009,
have you heard of this video called YouTube, or this video streaming service called YouTube? I don't know if you heard of it.
I think we should get on board.
Up.
No, you know what? Let's use Keek.
Yes, and
I remember someone emailing me like years ago, being like, "You know what? This is going to take over.
You think
this is going to be the new thing?"
Well,
you should get on board.
Let me check my Friendster account first.
Oh yes. But yeah, Curtis Joseph, I put together an accumulation of all this footage. It gave me a heart attack, and I knew how it all turned out. It's amazing he ever stopped the puck once.
Yeah, really.
All goalies were every goalie's style used to be whatever your style is in your driveway, playing street hockey with your dad. Just flipping, flying around. And they had equipment and you had a winter jacket. And that was the only difference. That was the only difference between you and professionals. That was it.
James Reimer stats. Last 5 starts, 6 games. He's 5-0 with a 1.44 goals against average.
Steve,
and a 948 save percentage.
Steve, I've heard you've heard some noise about that.
They could have kept him, right?
Well, no, but who are you hearing from?
Oh, a lot of let's just say there's a lot of rumblings out of Florida. Some people are kind of rubbing James Reimer's positive stats in my face.
Would you say official people?
Just some people, just some folks with opinions.
Okay. Can we be honest? We talked a little bit about it earlier. Is Matt Martin a Maple Leaf next year?
Man, I don't know. Like, how do you? Okay.
It's not that I don't love what he brings personality-wise. Let's get that out of the way.
I get the role. And I don't even disagree with it. But after this season, there's 3 years left. Sosh has looked really good. Brown has looked really good. Hyman's looked really good. Levo has looked really good. Against all odds.
Levo's shot, man.
Like, against borderline intentional efforts to make him suck. I know that's not how the Leafs look at it, but come on. Like, it's amazing that this rose is growing out of the sidewalk here. And Brendan Leipsic will hopefully come back from injury and look pretty good. Kasperi Kapanen will hopefully come back from injury and look pretty good. I think that might be a little bit more long-term, though. Because wasn't it his knee?
Yeah, we'll see.
Knees aren't good.
Yeah.
Knees aren't good. Now that they're getting a little bit more ice time, boy, Seth Griffith looks real good. Trevor Moore is kind of a diamond in the rough. Dmytro Timashov has done really well with some extra ice time.
Yeah.
Kirby Reichel, after a really bad start, is really starting to pick it up. And there's all these wingers. There's just so many waiting in the wings. And if you're going by, speaking of waiting in the wings, Red Wings models of the past, it should be hard for these guys to make the team. But at what point do you go, you know what? Beat it. This guy, great guy, good for you, but we need some guys who can score.
We know the Leafs aren't afraid to bury, or not bury. I think that's unfair.
Man, you're going to sign this guy to 4 years and bury him in year 2? I don't know.
Do you think Vegas takes a chance on him?
I'm kind of hoping so at this point because I don't think they need him. I don't think the Leafs need him, and I don't wish ill on anybody. So, I kind of hope another team gives him a chance because I think the Leafs are quickly outgrowing this guy. Maybe I'm totally wrong.
It just seems he seems out of place when you see him on the ice. To me,
it's weird. Between whistles, he seems out of place. Like when the game is going on, he seems out of place. And then you see how he is on the bench. You see how he is in the locker room.
But 99% of what he does is that on the bench and in the locker room, right?
So is that worth it? The rookies have been good. Like, here's okay, people are going to groan and roll their eyes, but how much of the Leafs rookies' success can you attribute to Matt Martin being on their team?
Being their father.
Yeah.
And dressing room
it's
culture is important. Very important.
And the answer is I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. You couldn't know unless you were there.
Yeah.
You couldn't possibly. Now, I'm not saying that just completely justifies having Matt Martin there, but that's a rough one.
Even if you don't play him. So let's say Matt Martin doesn't play much
but now
next year.
You got this.
I
you
think
want
you have
that?
to play him for the role he's playing.
Yes. Yes, at some point, maybe you're having a bad day. And again, it's about situational attitude, right? Maybe you're having a bad day, and then he tries to give you a little bit of advice, and you go, shut up. Like you wouldn't say that to Matt Martin, certainly, but in your head, you go, shut up. You haven't played in 8 games.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to teach me? I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, but again, it's a great position for the team to be in because you're dealing from a position of having a surplus. You're not trying to fill a hole.
Right.
It's you either have Matt Martin or all these other guys who can replace him in the lineup. Makes me feel bad, though. And one thing, though, speaking of surplus, that the Leafs haven't really had to deal with until, unfortunately, recently.
Injuries.
Any injuries. Like, almost literally any.
It's almost weird for us. I think, what was it, 56 man games lost to injury thus far?
Yeah, if you don't count all the guys on Robidas Island. Like, Marinson, who was, like, the 7th defenseman anyway, was out long-term. Levo, who was the 13th forward anyway, was out long-term. Marner is going to miss a couple games. Who else has missed a couple games? Oh, Ben Smith. Again, your 12th forward, arguably. Best case 11th. Got injured. Marner's the first top anything to get hurt on this team. Unless I'm forgetting someone. Oh, Riley was out for like a week.
Yeah.
Or a week
High
or two.
ankle sprain or something.
That's right. No. He was actually missing for a decent amount of time. That's it.
That's it.
So it's, I almost feel bad because, like, I think I think in almost any other season, Corrado probably would have got like a dozen games. Mm-hmm. And I throw his name in there because of how we know it turned out.
Yeah, Marchenko's playing.
Like, the Leafs haven't had to call up anybody.
No.
It's weird.
It is a bit weird. This
especially after last season. They went through 46 players last season. That's nuts. And it wasn't just trades and turnover. Like, they were calling up Tobias Lindbergh by the end of the season.
Yeah.
You know how far down the depth chart he is? Like, with all due respect to him.
And he looks pretty good.
And he might turn out to be an NHL player one day. But do you know how far down the call-up chart Tobias Lindbergh is right now?
Yeah.
And he got a point. He was on the power play, if I remember correct, in the one game that I actually saw. I went to Buffalo and I saw that game. If I'm not mistaken, he was on the power play.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting spot they find themselves in. That fourth line has looked really bad. If you want to have Matt Martin on the ice, I get that. But then you better have 2 guys who can drive possession. You better have 2 guys who can do that, and they have one.
But here's a real good thought, though. Okay, so this year, a theme has been nitpicking on, like, all these minor guys. Like, literally guys on the Marlies and the Leafs' 8th defenseman and 7th defenseman and 12th and 13th forward have been like a huge disproportionate chunk of what we've talked about this season. You know why? Because the core pieces are doing their job. It's wicked. It's awesome. Have you questioned Matthews at any point this season? Even when he was on that, like, 13-game goalless drought?
No.
No.
Because I saw the way he played.
Marner?
Nope.
Even when he was on a 12-game goalless drought?
Nope. Saw the way he played.
Nylander?
Nope.
Not really.
Not once. Not once have I questioned his motivation either. Which I think is that has come out. That has come out that there are so many people out there. Oh, I don't know if he tries hard enough. Oh, I don't think he'll be a Leaf long term. I think a lot of that is drummed up from old sources and people not connected with the organization.
You know what I think it might be? Because I've alluded to the fact that Nylander could try harder, in my opinion. You know why? Because it's a JVR sort of situation where you see what his max is.
And you're like, wow.
Nylander's playing at his max right now, and it's scary. Teams don't want to deal with that. It is not fun playing against William Nylander, playing his hardest, is not fun. But he hasn't, I don't think he's had this level, this quite eye of the tiger all season.
Right.
But regular old William Nylander's still pretty good. I've never questioned that. But I think it's fair to say in the past 2 weeks, we've seen another gear, which is what Babcock has been trying to poke out of him. And he has.
Right. He has successfully. And with that, the great thing about that is not only have we seen that from William Nylander, but he personally has been rewarded for that. More ice time and fantastic stats.
And Babcock, for whatever reason, has made his path harder than other players. You know, Marner got demoted a couple times. Matthews never really got demoted, but like Nylander, like he was playing on the fourth line for like a week or two. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then other times, like, we're going to put you with Kadri, and he was with Kadri for a long time, and they had a little bit of chemistry, and that was fun, but you knew he didn't want to play with Kadri. He wanted to be playing with Matthews. And he goes, here's your opportunity. And holy smokes, does he look like an entirely different beast. That isn't to say he wasn't trying before, but he's definitely trying harder now.
Because he knows he can be taken
fair?
away.
Can we agree there?
And before anybody thinks the sky is falling because Nylander has played once on the fourth line, remember that in Calgary, Johnny Gaudreau last week was playing on the fourth line.
Yeah, exactly. And what are you talking about when you talk about, he's a playoff performer? That player finds another gear. It's another gear.
It's like when JVR went to the playoffs that one time with the Leafs.
7 points in 7 games, scoring ridiculous circus goals. And, he's probably still got shards of Zdeno Chara's stick in his back. Like, that monster. I want that monster every game. Now, maybe if you play that way every game, you'll die. and you get lots of crazy injuries. Maybe. It's entirely possible. But, I mean, he's like, 20, 21? Find out now.
Nylander or
Nylander, I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
You guys, there's a trade.
Another one.
And this is right before we go to on the online portion. What do we got?
The Canadiens and Carolina Hurricanes completed a minor trade. Defenseman Philip Samuelsson to the Hurricanes in exchange for Keegan Lowe. Neither has played an NHL game this season, and both will report to their respective AHL teams.
And they're both defenders?
Yes. The most interesting thing about this trade is that Samuelson's dad is the head coach of the Hurricanes AHL team.
Oh, what
Thanks, Jesse.
Darn it.
So there you go.
Jesse just being a troll at the beginning and the end of the show.
Samuelsson, he's a second-round draft pick from 2009.
What's Keegan Lowe?
From 2009? Oh, my God.
And Lowe was also a second-round pick in 2011.
Oh, my God. All right.
And he's also the son of a former NHL player.
Kevin?
Ron
Lowe. Okay, we're going to Sportsnet.ca.
Well, geez, thanks, man.
You can download the rest of this show, and trust me, it'll get better.
For our non-GTA listeners, we're probably going to talk about non-Leaf stuff now.
Well, I got some more Leaf stuff to follow up with. This podcast is brought to you by Panago Pizza. It's what's on the inside that counts. You can watch us on YouTube. You can download us at Sportsnet.ca or any place podcasts are found. Thank you so much for listening. All right, so the Leafs, admittedly, since about mid-January, have struggled a little bit.
Yeah,
just a little bit. I think they're 6-7-4 or something. I don't know.
Not even that bad. 4-4-2 in their last 10, I think.
So 4-2 in their last 10.
No, those kind of reactions.
What?
Your reaction.
4-2 in the last 10. It's a good number.
4-2.
I said 4-4-2.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 4-2. I think you said 4-2.
I don't know. Now you're making me question the words that came out of my own mouth like 10 seconds ago.
We both did 4-2. But I thought it was really interesting. Drag Like Pull did a piece on what could be going on.
Okay.
And it was really interesting because he kind of broke down the base stats, the base level advanced stats that you would look at. So 5-on-5, he went back a month. So January 17th is, he took the averages from January 17th, and then he took the averages since January 17th to now, and what's changed. And what was interesting is that basically 5-on-5, the numbers are the same.
Oh.
Literally the same.
That's discouraging.
What we have is a shooting percentage on the power play in the last month that's fallen from 14.1 to 10.1%. Even though the power play is still number one in the league, it's fallen.
Well, because it was number one in the league for like 4 months.
Yes.
3 or 4 months.
Penalty kill, their save percentage, interestingly, has fallen from an 8.99 to an 8.89.
Okay, it's a fall.
Yeah, it's a fall.
And that could be a goal.
And he said, listen, this is not, yeah, it could be, absolutely. He said, listen, this is, the conclusion here is that there's no reason to be fully worried. This could be just a bit of a rough patch because 77% of the time the Leafs are playing, it's 5-on-5. So
Good.
their 5-on-5 numbers are solid. If they could tighten their power play up just a little bit and maybe get a little more scoring on the power play.
Marner being out doesn't help.
It doesn't help. They will probably start to correct ship. And it's literally the difference of a goal against and a goal for a game.
Man.
Right? And so I
Leafs-
just thought it was an interesting piece at the Leaf Station.
Here's something people really need to consider is the Leafs could play fine, like A-OK for the rest of the season and still miss. Or make it comfortably. Like it's just that tight. Like as if the Panthers are going to play at an 8-1-1 pace for the rest of the season.
Well, they could.
Boston's won. Well, I mean, maybe Boston's won. What, 4 straight?
Yep. They're 7-3-0 in their last 10.
The Sens, who are actively catching up with the Canadians, aren't even. I think they're like dead 500 in their last 10.
The Sens lost their last game. Montreal has lost their last 3.
Yeah, they're 5-5 in their last 10. But they're sitting 2 points back on Montreal with 2 games in hand.
With 2 games in hand.
Oh, man.
It's tight, man. And Steven Stamkos skated today.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Buffalo, even though they've played a couple more games, is like, what, 3 points
So if
back
you
of the
want Brian
Leafs?
Boyle, it's 2 first
I
round
know.
picks.
Like, there's not a seller in the division.
That's why I think they got to sell
Detroit
on
just
Polak.
beat
Detroit beat
Pittsburgh.
Washington and Pittsburgh back-to-back on the weekend.
That's why you sell on Polak, because no one's selling. There's 2 teams that are selling, Arizona and Colorado.
To who?
That's the point, is there's no sellers. So sell.
No, but to who?
Whoever wants them. Someone wants them. San Jose wanted them last year. Someone else wants them.
God, it's so hard because Lou Lamoriello, the impression I got in his conversation with James Myrtle on The Athletic, is perfectly cool, just standing pat, and wants to make the playoffs.
Yeah, until someone comes along and offers a couple second-round picks.
Well, he wants to win the Stanley Cup. I'm sure. Like, that's not a point.
Yeah.
What's been really funny? I know.
It
You know what?
would've been
We're
revelation if he
interested in
didn't.
winning the Stanley Cup. We're interested.
Would have been interesting if he said he didn't want to make the playoffs.
I think that's the story.
Yeah.
We don't want to win the Stanley Cup. Now, Babcock has tried to be like, you know what? I wouldn't worry about the trade deadline too much. I think that's more for you guys. I think it's going to be a pretty quiet day for us. And Lou Lamoriello said about the same, except I can't do an impression of him. Unless the right deal comes along. Which, if I'm a player, that doesn't make me feel any better. So, what you're still saying is you're still open for business.
Tough shit, man.
No, I know.
Welcome to the
I know.
NHL. At least you're
Sorry,
playing.
you might get traded.
At least
does
you're playing.
annoy
You
me-
could be on the island with Robida and Lupul.
Yeah, it does annoy me that the idea that players need to be calmed down. And it annoys me even more if they actually do need to be calmed down. Because the trade deadline comes every year. You know it's here. Why are you getting so anxious about it?
You know, one player I had sympathy for is John Scott. His wife was like a week away from having a kid, and they got traded and then sent to Newfoundland. And
Well, that wasn't even a deadline deal, though.
no, that's what I mean. Like,
right.
see, I get that, and that was like, what was like a January deal?
But that's not the threat of something happening. That's something happening.
Yeah,
Like, directly. Like, and you have to... If something happens, you have to react to it, right? And, like, I'm not being heartless. Every year, around the same time, my contract expires. My wife, she's a teacher. I'm sure a lot of you are. And she's not a permanent full-time teacher. So what's she waiting on? She's waiting on supply calls and LTOs, long-term occasionals. And every year, it's the same production. She gets all anxious and what if? And I'm like, you can't do this to yourself. And it's easier said than done, but it happens every year. Every single year. So you can do your part to accept that and just trudge forward, or you can dwell and drive yourself nuts for the
and
next
not
couple
control
weeks.
any of it, and still not
And
control.
still not control, and still not have a damn thing to say about any of it. You're right.
It's literally out of your control. Stop worrying about it.
It sounds unsympathetic, but believe me, I'm trying to help. Believe me, telling your wife to calm down when she doesn't have any work.
Telling anyone to calm down. I don't even work.
It's very hard for it to not come across condescending,
There's many-
but it's coming from a place of love.
There's many years just working in radio where I thought I am not going anywhere. I'm just not going anywhere. And I had great jobs. Like I don't. But you get that in your head sometimes, and it doesn't matter how successful you are.
By not going anywhere, you mean you're stuck at like a dead end job?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But
not
you're
what I
not-
thought you meant. I thought you meant like, I couldn't possibly get fired or laid off.
Oh no, I don't mean like that. No,
because I've thought that too. And I can
I've
tell
never
you,
thought
every
that.
time I thought that, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Man, when I worked at Leafs TV, I made less than the prize budget.
Hey man, I make less than
That
the prize
made me
budget
feel
at Kiss.
sick. When I found out what the prize budget was, I was like, oh.
Well, of course.
Yeah, but you guys give
Duh.
away like concert tickets.
We give away trips to Dominican Republic.
Yeah, no, ours was a little bit smaller. I'll tell you off air. It was bad.
Like a foam finger.
I remember being like, they couldn't possibly not bring me back. I don't cost them anything. Guess what?
You cost too much. Gone.
Gone. Gone. That's for the book, though.
Want to congratulate Nazem Kadri.
Hey.
It is an all-Canadian
Woo!
3 stars of the week, and he is number 2.
There you go.
Number 1, Patrick Laine, who deservedly so. He had 5 goals and 8 points in 4 games. Nazem Kadri, number 2. And then Mr. Connie McDaveman. He has 67 points in 59 games, 2 goals, 4 assists last week.
Patrick Laine, I think, has been a great representation of how dumb and simple we are, like just as hockey fans. Because he goes on these hot streaks and we go, whoa, Patrick Laine's the best. And then he goes a little cold and we go, oh, he's not any good at all. Matthews is way better. And then guess what? He gets hurt and, oh, you know what? Matthews has been better the whole time. And then he comes back and he gets hot again and we go, wow, look at all those goals from Patrick Laine.
Is that your impression of everybody on Reddit?
Yeah.
On our hockey?
Whoa. Like,
All right. I want to show you guys something. So Steve posted a video yesterday on his channel, not the podcast channel, the Steve Dangle channel. Mm-hmm. And it has 19,600 views already.
it's probably more than that because the counter is slow, but continue.
And I was looking at, this video has been up for what, 24 hours maybe?
A little bit less, yeah.
So, of course, because we've got Matthews and Laine tonight, Matthews v. Laine.
Whoa.
Part two.
And by the way, I'm just letting you know, this game decides who's better. I'm just letting you know.
That's how it works.
For at very least, until the next time they play, which is next season, by the way. Until they award the Calder.
This decides.
This game decides who's better until June.
Goal race, then point race, then Calder, then next game, then...
Oh, it will be for the next 10 years. We'll be like, okay, here we go again.
Okay.
Matthews versus Laine.
It's going to be super great.
Number 30.
Yeah.
I was like, how many comments down is it going to take before I find somebody trolling one side or the other about who's better?
Well, and to be fair, near the end of the video, I was like, you know what? Laine could get 25 more points than Matthews this season, and I would still prefer Matthews.
As a Leaf fan, I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking
We've
Calder
been through
race.
this before. They needed a center. They got one.
Yeah.
It's wicked.
And you know what? You know
The
what
end.
Winnipeg needed? A scoring winner. Look what they got. Someone to play with Mark Scheifele. Great.
You know who's not sad? The Leafs. You know who's also not sad? The Jets.
You know who are good NHL players?
Matthews and Laine. But Laine's got 5 goals and 8 points this week. No,
here's...
just wait until Matthews does the same thing in like a week or two, or starting tonight. I don't know.
Now, I'm not going to call
Whoa, his goal against Carolina. We're all idiots.
the Ultimate Warrior now? Are the fans on the internet
First he charges down the wing against Carolina, and then he says, I will part the seas in front of Cam Ward, and then I will...
This is an perfect example of troll Leaf fan trolling Winnipeg fans. Winnipeg fans are just as guilty. There just happens to be way more Leaf fans based on population size.
Trolling, I think, is with intent. You intentionally say inflammatory things. I think this is genuinely us genuinely thinking.
No.
For a very... We just lose our heads and go, whoa!
No, the comment I'm about to read.
5 goals!
The comment I'm about to read.
Oh, okay.
Comment I'm about to read, I think, is trolling.
Okay.
And this Winnipeg fans have done it to us all season. Gary Lawless has done it to the to Leaf fans all season in Winnipeg. I don't blame them. Because if you're Gary Lawless and you get 1 billion clicks to your article about how Laine's better than Matthews and was a better pick, then it doesn't matter whether they came from Toronto or Winnipeg. Clicks equal money.
Gary Lawless.
Honestly,
he really should be like one of the 2 tag team champions.
He should, especially with that name.
I think maybe because it's so close to Jerry Lawler.
Yes.
Maybe that's why.
Also, his last name's Lawless.
Yeah.
He's definitely play by the rules because he's lawless.
He and JBL are the tag team champions.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, this guy, Danish Nauman, who's got a Toronto Maple Leaf insignia as his profile picture.
I bet he thinks Laine's better.
So he is the second comment down when you click top comments, and he's got 77 replies to his comment.
I haven't even read them.
It's a doozy. It's a doozy. So he writes, all Laine does is score empty netters, literally or off of good setups, and get secondary assists. Also, if Matthews was playing with Scheifele, spelled incorrectly, or Ehlers, or Wheeler, both spelled correctly, he would be a lot better.
Whoa!
But
he scores his goals with Hyman and Brown usually, but now it's Nylander, so you watch him go, whoa!
I just love it because a Winnipeg fan,
idiots.
But a Winnipeg fan could say the exact same thing, just switch out Laine, and you could argue the same thing, and just as many Leaf fans would be upset about it. It's just so funny.
But isn't
watch
this
the
our
comments.
job as sports fans?
Absolutely.
We should be doing this.
Absolutely.
We should. This is good. This is how it goes. Good.
Yes.
Good.
And telling professional athletes on the internet that they're bad at their job.
Yeah. Matthews, you're no good because Laine's got 5 goals.
What was it that somebody said to you in the bar this weekend? You were at the bar in Oshawa this weekend.
Oh no, they didn't say it to me. I was just. It's mean because it's stereotypical.
This is YouTube before YouTube.
I live in a bit of I think it's a bit of an older neighborhood, or maybe it's just an older bar. I'm really not sure. But so I'm just having dinner and a couple drinks with my wife at the old watering hole, and I'm listening to these old guys talk at the bar, and they're definitely regulars because they're actually talking this loud.
They're comfortable.
It's 4 p.m. Like it's not a packed bar. They're just this is how they talk. You know what? This Marner kid, he looks really good, but I don't know. I'm not sold on Matthews. And just hearing what they thought about certain things. I'm just like, okay. A, these guys are sports radio listeners. Mm-hmm. B, they would never, ever give our podcast the time of day.
I heard a Toronto sportscaster actually say, Matthews is good, but when Marner got injured. But Marner is the straw that stirs the drink, in this reporter's opinion.
No.
And I was like... Oh my God!
Now, devil's advocate, is that just good radio? Because
that wasn't radio.
You know what's not good radio? Oh, okay. Well, okay. You know what's not good radio or television? Having someone in the studio as they say that, just going no, because I immediately kill the conversation.
That doesn't kill. That actually creates. Whoa! Why do you think that?
No. What's better, I think.
You're right.
Is you go. You know what? Matthews is good, but Marner is the straw that stirs the drink, and having people listening or watching going, what? This guy's crazy. Here's what's the tweet at Sportsnet. There you go. Okay, you know what?
Fair.
Here, call us at whatever the fan number is.
This was not a sports network. This was a regular network. This was a main channel.
Like a news channel?
No, just a channel that has a newscast that has a sports guy who's been there forever. So he's not looking for conversation. He's reporting. And I was like, dog, that's got to be a no for me, dog. Like, really? And that's not to take away from what Marner's done. We've said many times on this show, he drives possession. He's a winger that drives possession. That's amazing.
Both really good. It's amazing that they're both Leafs.
Why does one have to be one not good and the other, like, what? Are you kidding?
Because Marner was Rookie of the Month, and Matthews used to be Rookie of the Month, but he's not Rookie of the Month anymore.
I just hate it so much. Jacob Trouba suspended for 2 games. It was a brutal weekend for the Senators. Bobby Ryan is out 3 to 6 weeks with a broken index finger. Mark Stone is day-to-day with an upper body injury, as in upper neck injury. We think concussion. And Mark Hoffman, day-to-day lower body injury. Mark Stone.
I can't seem to find the tweet right now, but I was talking to Jesse because I read a tweet with the Jets defense pairings for the Leaf game. Because Trouba is suspended, here we go. With Trouba out, Julian Melchiori is with Dustin Byfuglien. Josh Morrissey with Ben Sherratt and Mark Stewart with Paul Postma. Here's the question of the podcast. Is Julian Melchiori a real person or fictitious? I'm going to say made up. That's not a real person. I've never heard of that person.
He sounds like a sauce.
Hey, now that's just xenophobic towards Italians.
Why? Italians create all the sauces?
Me and Lindsay Lohan are the same.
Are you the only...
We are the same right now. I feel hurt.
I'm sorry. Did Italians create hot sauce? Did Italians create?
They might have
cream sauce.
It was either the Italians or the Greeks.
Okay. Just ask them.
Just ask them. Yes. Watch. By the way, I just confirmed he's going to get like 5 points against the Leafs.
Huh? Of course.
You know that, right?
But yeah, Sens. This is not good. Bobby Ryan, 3-6 weeks. Mark Stone, day to day. Mike Hoffman, day to day. Could be bad. Could be not so bad.
Hoffman and Stone are both traveling with the Sens.
That's good.
So that's encouraging for them.
That's very, very good. I want to move on to one last point before we get to kind of the trade deadline rumors that are floating out there. The Panthers.
Jeez.
The Panthers, I know that they've been hot, 8-1-1 or whatever in the last 10. They are 4 points from leading the Atlantic, and they are a game in hand. I just want to throw that out there. This was a team that was done. Parity, brah. Parity.
They also swept the California trip, which the Leafs will be doing next week.
They swept Death Valley.
Florida went in there.
It's not Death Valley anymore, though.
It's still bad.
Yeah.
It's still bad.
San Jose, Anaheim, LA.
All right. So let's talk quickly about...
Wow.
Let's talk quickly about the trade deadline. First off, I don't know if you know this or not, the Golden Knights could make a trade at the trade deadline.
Is that official?
Apparently so. Chris Johnson said that you can get into it. I can run the clip for you. You guys want to have him explain it?
Yes, I would love that.
All right.
By the way, I'm going to start calling him Ludacris. He is early 2000s Ludacris right now.
Johnson.
Nothing but bangers. Every single is a club hit.
Sportsnet.ca. Chris, March 1st, big day, NHL trade deadline. Also a pretty big day for the Vegas franchise. Tell us why.
Yes, George McPhee plans to do some business before that date, Jeff, and that's an interesting piece of news. That's because the Vegas Golden Knights anticipating having their expansion payment, the final one of the $500 million fee transferred, hope to get a mountain of paperwork done, and that would officially open them for business. I spoke with McPhee over the weekend, and he said that he's getting a lot of calls from teams anxious to make sure that they have some certainty before that expansion draft. All they have to trade at this point is promises, that being promises not to take certain players in the expansion draft itself. But if everything goes to plan, McPhee anticipates he'll be able to make a couple deals before the deadline to promise not to take certain players.
And that
Pause. So are those actual deals or just promises?
Well, as soon as the transfer payment goes through and they get the paperwork done, they can make those deals official.
Wow.
Imagine you get a guy and he's on the Vegas roster and he just has to sit out the rest of the season. 'Cause he doesn't have a team.
Like I'm trying to think of when the Jets traded Evander Kane to Buffalo. And Kane had to sit out all that time. He didn't really care because he was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're potentially trading away a fresh body.
Can I just say something here?
Say it.
If a team calls and goes, "Hey, George, are you looking at taking X player?" George's answer every single time has to be yes.
So just lie. Just so
Lie?
you get everything. Yeah.
No, I don't think that's... No, because you got to build contacts, right? Part of being a GM...
There's no way to prove that you wouldn't. The answer is yes, because the answer is yes, and you have to give me something not to take them.
Here's what's great, though.
The answer is yes.
You know for a fact, 100% fact, that... I mean, dude, when was Tom from general manager hired by Vegas months ago.
Yeah.
These guys have been a team for how long? Months. They know who they're taking. Or they have it narrowed down to like 2.
Depending on who's going to be available, they know who they're taking.
Every team needs to call them up and be like, who are you taking? And then maybe that shapes the trade deadline now.
Oh, I think so. I think they're going to be a huge factor, and I think this is going to be fun. Here's what I do. If I'm George McPhee...
Oh, buckle up, man. Buckle up.
So let's just say, and I know this isn't the case, but let's say you're the general manager of the Leafs.
Sure.
And Nylander and Matthews are both available. Okay? They just
right.
aren't.
They're
okay?
not, but
Yeah.
We're using this very
because they can't be. So use that as-
baseline example. Okay,
Yes.
Baseline example. Matthews and Nylander, third line guys, and they are both available.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm George McPhee, and I'm heading Vegas. You call me. Hello?
hey, I'm George McPhee.
No, I'm George McPhee.
Hi, you're George
You're
McPhee.
the GM of the Leafs in this. You're Lou.
Hi, I'm Lou Lamoriello.
Okay. Continue. Hi, Lou. What's up?
Just wondering who you're gonna fucking steal from me, you piece of shit.
Well, we're considering Matthews and or Nylander. We're considering Matthews or Nylander.
You can't do that. This is a fictional scenario.
We're considering Matthews or Nylander.
Oh, okay. Who are you leaning towards?
We're not really sure on that yet. Why do you ask?
Because they're my fucking players, asshole.
So then, if you're George, you go, well, if you'd like some assurance that I'm not going to take either, that'll cost you a couple picks.
So in response, you can send over those picks, or you just choose to protect those guys and leave somebody else exposed and take your risk with that guy.
But and there's teams that are going to be that aren't going to have that choice, right? There are teams that cannot
or you take off another guy.
Totally.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying
You
is, if George McPhee gets a call from someone going, "Hey, are you thinking of taking this player?" Even if you're not, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
The answer is always yes. Because then, let's say I'm not interested in Matthews or Nylander, but you want to protect Matthews or Nylander. Well, I'm still going to hit you up for picks. I'm still going to hit you up for stuff.
Or you just take the risk and you leave him exposed and you call his bluff.
Okay, and that's fair.
Yeah, but
if you're
your
George
answer is
McPhee,
always yes.
I don't think they're going to
always
do
yes.
too much of that. Because if you burn a GM,
how can you burn
burned a
him?
connection.
You can't burn him.
Yeah, if you lie to him.
How can that be proven?
Well,
Show me how you
if you say, for example, I am not taking Martin Marincin, and then you leave him unexposed, and then you take Martin Marincin.
Well, no,
you lied to me.
I'm not saying
and now
do that.
I'm not doing business with you.
No,
Or
that's
don't
not
ever
what
come
I'm
to me with a
Steve,
favor.
That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is leverage this. Okay, so you.
I don't think they need to do anything nefarious to leverage.
I won't. But hold on.
They're fantasy.
No, I know that. But the point is, I'm going to take Martin Marincin. If you want to protect Martin Marincin, then I'm taking Martin Marincin until you pay me not to. And if you go, you know what? Forget it. Then it doesn't matter. But you still, in that moment, you leverage every point that you possibly can. Remember, this is a team that is fantasy, that has no prospects, no minor league team, no system to speak of. They have to get as much as they possibly can out of this deadline. So every player that every team calls about, the answer is yes, we're considering your player.
Do they know
whether you
whether-
are internally or not.
Do they know where their AHL team is playing?
I don't
No,
know.
they don't have one yet.
Here, should this be allowed? I
Well,
don't think so.
It is allowed. So
It shouldn't be.
I think it's weird that a team that isn't playing is interfering in the trade deadline. I find that weird.
Yeah, 100%. Like once the Stanley Cup is awarded, the offseason begins. Mm-hmm. The Las Vegas Golden Knights, or the Vegas Golden Knights, are not an NHL team in the 2016-17 season. They should not be allowed to make moves.
But they are.
They shouldn't be, though. Like, this is bullshit.
Okay. But
This is total bullshit.
But they are. So now you have to deal with it. And that's what I love about this. If I'm George McPhee, yes to every player. Yes. The answer is yes. Yes, I'm considering it.
All right, let's say Matthews scores, let's say the Leafs, they play their first 5 games of next season, and they score 20 goals in that span, and they allow 14. So they're up, they're
3-2.
Yeah, they're positive 6 goals. Can they now go, okay, now we would like to take those 6 goals and apply them to different games from last season so that we win them? Because apparently you're just allowed to take fantasy made up bullshit And the Knights don't exist. They don't. They're not an NHL team for this season. Go look at the standings. There's no Knights.
But guess
Why
what?
are they allowed to make moves? That's horseshit.
Well,
that's 100%.
I'm
But
not
believe me,
debating that.
it makes it way more interesting, and I'm excited as a fan. But that's horseshit. They shouldn't be allowed to make moves. That's bullshit.
Owners let it happen. And you
Why?
know why? Because they're all making a lot of money off of it. Because they spent, what is it? Because they're getting
So
transfer
it's an
payments
unfair
of
advantage.
$500 million.
It's an unfair advantage.
Sure,
They get to
but
make
the owners
moves
are all
before
making
they
piles of money.
exist.
So
They don't exist.
Can you send players to the team to sit for the rest?
That
of
is
the
a good
season?
question. Let's continue the clip just to see if they get to that.
That's not unique.
You
If we
play
go
from the
back
beginning.
to the last round of expansion, Columbus and Minnesota, both teams made deals with San Jose to both stay away from netminder Yevgeny Nabokov. Meanwhile, nation's capital.
Okay, so here's the.
Can you play the clip again?
Yeah, I can play it over again, but basically it's just when the transfer the crux of it is when the transfer payments are done, they can make moves. I think the only deal they can make, I believe they can flip picks, and I believe they can promise not to take a player. But I believe that's it.
But
you can't trade a player to the
give
team.
them Matt Martin.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, and Chris Johnson doesn't address that, but I would highly doubt that.
Maybe
You can't trade a player to a team that hasn't played.
Maybe it goes without saying, and none of us are smart enough to pick up on it.
See, what I wish we had right now is Tom
Chris
from
Johnson?
General Manager's
I know.
videos explaining the freaking expansion
We
draft.
might get Chris before the deadline. Oh yeah, I didn't tell you guys that.
Oh, cool.
We might, but it's up in the air, so we don't know. He's obviously going to be very busy at the time.
Yeah, of course.
We might get him the day of the Sharks game.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, if I'm George McPhee and you call about a couple players, the answer is yes on both. Even though I can't take them both, I'm considering both. But I can not take either if you would give me a pick. How can you disagree? And if they give you the pick, you don't take the player. Follow
gonna
through
be
on your promise. And if you weren't considering that, and if you weren't considering your players and you took a different player, who cares?
This is my 10th season, covering hockey. This is easily the most fascinating one.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It is awesome.
All right,
I'm going
now-
to be very tired come July, though.
Yes, and that is when our next vacation is, sir. So buckle up.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, I was a little light on content this past week, at least in my opinion, and I apologized to my boss for
Brooks
that.
Life?
Oh, how dare you! And he was like, "No. I think next week you're going to make it up to me."
Yeah.
I was just like, "Oh shit, you're right."
The price for Kevin Shattenkirk. Are you ready, gentlemen? Pretty much what we expected.
Laine and Matthews at the same time.
High-end prospect, first-round pick, and another piece.
That's not anything. I hate when people say that.
What's
What's
other
a
piece?
high-end prospect? That's completely subjective.
Is Brendan Leipzig a high-end prospect?
See, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because I
Or
think
is William Nylander last year a high-end prospect? That has to
that to me is we're talking cannot miss. Like
be. Michael
Leipzig,
McCarron.
I don't know. I don't even know if that's cannot miss. I think him and Leipzig are probably closer together than him
Nylander.
and Nylander.
Okay.
And that's not an insult to any of them.
No, they're all good players.
And also another piece. What the fuck is that? That could be a 3rd round pick. That could be a depth defenseman. That could be a top 4 defenseman. That could be a depth forward. That could be a backup goalie. What is that? Another piece. I hate when they say that. Because you're basically going, give me this, give me that. And how about you sweeten the pot a little bit there too? Let's not forget.
that is a creepy voice, my friend.
You have a commodity as the St. Louis Blues. Your commodity is a top 4 defender. Doesn't matter what his name is. It's a top 4 defender. That's what you bring to the table. You know what I bring to the table? You not looking fucking stupid for not making a move with a pending UFA again. Okay? Let's not pretend. This is a two-way street.
But I'm the St. Louis Blues, and team's pretty good, and looked a lot better.
Cool.
since
Why are
we
you
made the-
selling then, dummy?
Who says we're selling?
Why are we on the phone? We're on the phone discussing Kevin goddamn Shattenkirk.
You called me, George McPhee.
No, I didn't. You called me, George McPhee. No, did I?
No, okay.
Said McFly.
So, I just want to say, to follow up from the last show, we asked Blues fans on Reddit, do you think that Shattenkirk should be traded? Overwhelmingly, they all want him to be. And the argument is this.
Because they've been burned.
The argument is this. Yes, they've been burned. They lost Brouwer and they lost Backus for nothing last year. and they don't think this is the year, but that doesn't mean that this Shattenkirk trade couldn't set them up next year to do it again.
Now, what's interesting in the piece that I wrote on the Steve Dangle blog, and you should check it out, looking at the last 11 Stanley Cup winners, not every team bought. Very few teams were heavy buyers. A few were light buyers. A few did practically nothing. 2 teams sold before they won the Cup. I would argue the 2010 Chicago Blackhawks sold. Mm-hmm. They brought on a few guys, but they were all spare parts, barely played. They had to shed Cam Barker because they were in cap hell. And by fluke, one of the spare parts that they got, Nick Leddy.
Yeah, really.
Because they're the Chicago Blackhawks and they get everything. And also, the 2007 Anaheim Ducks, they acquired Brad May, who was really the only piece worth noting that they got, and sold off Shane O'Brien, who at the time was still pretty highly touted, and they got a first-round pick for him.
Wow.
They did all their buying the season before.
Pronger,
Niedermeyer, like, come on.
you're fine.
Come on. It is still possible that the Blues could sell Shattenkirk and be a perfectly legitimate contender.
And you could also sell Shattenkirk, use those assets to buy something else.
Which is a rumor the Ducks intended on doing, but they didn't end up doing it.
Interesting. Flyers, only 2 points out if you look at them right now.
So is everyone.
But should they sell?
Who they got?
Well,
Claude Giroux's been bad.
Streit, Shen, and Del Zotto are all up. Could be moved. And Philly.com's Sam Carchidi, I think, says it's time for Jam Hextall to sell. And he thinks they should sell on Giroux.
Whoa.
Now, Giroux's got, I believe, 12 goals and 30 assists this year. But he's not been the same Claude Giroux that he was.
The Claude Giroux who was passed the baton of best player in the league 3 years ago.
Yes. He says maybe Giroux is playing injured, though he denies it. Maybe past injuries, including a concussion, have just taken a toll. Maybe he just needs big wingers by his side. He was at his best when he played between Scott Hartnell and Jaromir Jagr to give him more skating room. Now, Giroux makes $8.25 million a season till 2022 and has a no movement clause. Whoa. There is no way that they can make a trade now.
I haven't even heard a little rumble.
There's no way. He's saying they should, but I'm just saying they can't. How?
No.
How?
No.
You're not making a trade like that.
I don't think so. You're also selling low on Claude Giroux, which seems like bad business.
Right. And for Flyers,
seems not smart.
For Flyers fans that are like, well, wait a second, it's only 2 points out. Why would we sell? Well, here's the thing. In the first round, you're going to get one of these teams. The Blue Jackets, the Pens, and the Caps. You get 2 guaranteed home games. That's probably all you get.
Unless they finish in the second wildcard spot. In the first
one.
The first wildcard spot, then you get an Atlantic Division team.
Fair enough.
Man, whoever wins the Atlantic is going to have to deal with the Rangers. That's so not
sucks.
fair.
Yeah, it really sucks.
Probably.
Maybe. Who knows? It might be Philly.
Philly's offense, by the way.
Might be.
Philly's offense ranked 23rd in the NHL.
That's nuts.
Isn't that crazy?
Especially because, wait, how are they even in this then?
They're in it.
What's their defense?
Well, that's a good question. I didn't look that up. I should have.
Because Steve Mason's been like one of the worst goalies in the league all season.
Yeah, their goal differential is negative 25 right now.
How are they even in this
the Flyers
conversation?
are due for a run.
They're going to have a great
Looks
week
like
now that we
they're
brought
going
this up.
25-2.
Do you think with all the injuries in Ottawa that they'll make a move because they have to? Because they said they want to, but what kind of move can they make? MacArthur's out for the season. Stone and Hoffman are day to day, and then you got Bobby Ryan who's out.
You probably just look at insurance up front.
Some sort of
You know how you add to your defense? You just give Karlsson more minutes.
Yeah,
that's all you got to do. So I think maybe they want to shore up that offense.
The Panthers have said Dale Talon came out and said we're going for it. We're buying.
Unbelievable.
The Islanders are also buying because they've had a great run. How do we know? Well, Doug Waite says he's talked to Garth Snow and a familiar face, Claude Lozelle.
Oh, where is he?
The New York Islanders.
Is he?
I believe he's the assistant general manager.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So you know,
maybe I just
because we're familiar. I mean, they've surged, so you understand why they would want to make a move. I get it. Totally get it. And you know that they're irresponsible. So if I'm the Leafs, hello. Hi, Garth.
God, this is the thing. Like, okay, if you're the Leafs, it's terrible optics to sell right now. It's terrible. It'll look terrible. It'll send It'll send the wrong message to a lot of fans.
Depends on who you sell, I think.
I think we get it. I think most of the listeners get it. But again, like we keep saying, if you listen to a hockey podcast, you're one of the top percent.
You're right.
And let's not pretend like your emotions override your logic sometimes. I want them to make it. It would be terrible optics to sell. But God, they could really catch a lot of teams with their pants down.
If Polak was traded, then they could play Marchenko, who by all accounts is probably an upgrade.
If you trade Hunwick, you get Marinson.
Yep. Who's maybe not.
Montreal
and Radulov.
But are those trades, do you get enough?
Does it matter? You get something. You get second and third picks. And guess what? What's a second round pick? PK Subban maybe. Maybe Duncan Keith. Maybe not, but maybe.
Alex DeBrincat.
Who's got his third 50-goal season in a row.
God.
Could have had him.
Everyone could have had him.
Montreal and Radulov. Radulov is looking for a 6-year extension, according to Nick Kyprios. Wants to make $7 million a year for the first 3 years, at least.
Whoa.
Proposed extension would take him to 37 years old. Now, Bergevin is apparently not into that. Not about that. But Radulov, Vanek, and TJ Oshie are going to be the most coveted players, and besides Shattenkirk this summer. Among forwards, those are the guys that are up, and they're going to make money. Vanek's going to make more money. Like Vanek, was he not bought out of a ridiculous deal?
Oh, Vanek's caked. Vanek's definitely
he's going to be paid. He's getting paid his buyout money, and then he had a good season in Detroit. Sure. And he's had a good season in Detroit, not a great team.
Which means he's going to get a raise.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Like, Vanek is set.
It's a good time to be Thomas Vanek.
It sure is.
Pretty good.
He's got to be salivating. What are you looking up?
Vanek's just like his career earnings, which I think Cap Friendly would know.
Stupid. Pittsburgh. Do you trade Marc-Andre Fleury? Because the thought is that he, last Thursday, played his last home game in Pittsburgh, which, by the way, was a 44-save overtime win.
Wow.
So that's, your value's good.
Isn't that weird that we've heard, like maybe I just haven't been reading the right things, but I haven't heard anything.
I haven't either. Not anything.
Bishop either.
Specifically connected. I think the price is too high, but if you're the Penguins, unless you get something overwhelmingly high, right? Because you know you'll lose him. You'll either lose him to free agency or you'll lose him to Vegas. You lose him to free agency because he really can't be. I don't think he's got another year. I think he's a UFA, is he not? Or no, he's got one more year.
Fleury? No, I think he's got 2.
He's got 2. Okay, so Vegas takes him. Clearly. But if you lose him for nothing and you have Marc-Andre Fleury as your backup goalie and you're already the Pittsburgh Penguins, why would you not hang on to him?
Now, let's say somehow the Penguins are able to keep Murray and they lose Fleury in the expansion draft. Is there such a thing as losing a player anymore? Because in a cap world, you just freed up close to $6 million over the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you lose the services of Marc-Andre Fleury, which you can now replace with all the free money you got.
Right, for a team that's right up against the cap.
Do you want some Thomas Vanek contract numbers?
Oh, yes.
So after his entry-level deal, his first deal that he signed with Buffalo was the 7-year, $50 million contract.
That was the Oilers offer sheet.
Yes. After that, he signed with Minnesota for 3 years and $19 million.
So we're at a nice number, $69 million on top of his entry-level deal.
His first deal was a 70, or his second deal was 7 year, $50 million. And he's already burned through that. That's done.
That's gone.
Yeah, that expired in 2014.
He's been a player for a long time. I remember Vanek playing in like the red Sabres jerseys.
Wow. And then he signed in Minnesota.
Yeah.
For 19.
For 19 over 3 years, which was bought out. So, and then his current contract is 2.6, which will expire at the end of this year with Detroit.
And he will get another 5-year deal.
And between his entry
Louis
level...
Eriksson's getting 5 years, it's almost $6 million.
Well, we'll see.
So about 70...
He's made, I would say, around 75 over his whole career so far.
Yeah.
Not counting endorsements or anything.
Wow.
Now, escrow and property tax or income tax.
But dollars made, around 75, yeah.
Okay.
He's 33.
He's got time to make more money.
Just saying. There's some time. There's some money there. Detroit wants to keep him, by the way.
Just the best.
LOL.
How far out is Detroit now? Yeah, actually, before we finish, can we do a quick recap of the standings?
I got him right here.
In the East.
In the East.
West,
so,
who cares?
Top of the Metropolitan, Washington, with 39 wins. They have 85 points. Unbelievable.
Gross.
And that's in 58 games. Pittsburgh, 58 games, 80 points. Columbus, 58 games, 79 points. Montreal, top of the Atlantic, 70 points. They've been there for a while, though, 59 games played. Ottawa, 2 games in hand at 57. They've got 68 points. Florida, 66 points, 58 games. 2 wildcard spots. The New York Rangers with 77 points in 58 games. The Boston Bruins with 66 points.
Yo, the top wildcard team has 7 more points than the Atlantic leading
That's why I feel like the Flyers should sell, because the Flyers, who, by the way, are like fifth in the wild card. And the top only.
So what do they got?
No,
for
they've got
points?
63 points.
So 3 points.
The Rangers have 77 points.
You know what? That's
Flyers
a
should sell.
real good argument.
Flyers should sell.
Even
if you try.
Yeah, because you're not getting the top wildcard seed, so you're playing whoever wins the Metro.
Yeah.
That's a really. I think they should sell.
That's what I would do.
That's a compelling argument.
The Leafs have Boston has 66 points. They are the second wild card. The Leafs have 65, 1 game in hand. Islanders 64. Philadelphia 63. Buffalo 62, Tampa 60, New Jersey 60, Detroit 58, Carolina 56. So I would say Carolina-Detroit. I mean, Carolina is 10 points out with 20-something games left.
But how many games in hand, though? This is why their victory...
They've got 4 games in hand.
This is why
3 games in hand.
The Leafs beating them was huge. Because heading into that game, Carolina was 7 points back with 3 games in hand. They win those 3 games, 1 point back.
See, Carolina isn't bad, and they could be a lottery team.
Oh, like a lottery, like bottom 3.
Detroit could be a lottery team too with 58 points.
Like, this isn't a bad year to miss the playoffs. You can do it with dignity. Leafs finished last season with 69 points.
But think of the moral victory of making the play. There's a moral victory there. Yeah. You need that.
What did this is so stupid to look up, and I'm making myself later and later by doing this, but who finished third last season? And how many points did it take? I'm willing to bet Arizona won't reach the number, whatever it is. Colorado certainly won't.
Was it not Edmonton? Columbus did.
Columbus,
because Winnipeg won the lottery, won a lottery, moved up a lot. Columbus was number 3.
I'm not actually sure.
I think it's Columbus.
What would you like to know?
Who finished third last in the NHL last season, and how many points did they have?
In the entire NHL. Okay.
Damn it, Jesse!
Third last in the NHL was the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because remember they got pushed out of the top 3 because they didn't win any of the lotteries.
Oh, I thought the only team to drop was it Winnipeg that?
No, a couple teams dropped.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. All right.
Vancouver Canucks. They had 75 points.
75 points. So you're telling me in the next 20 plus games, every team in the East is going to pass that.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina too. All they got to do is like win 8 games and lose a few in overtime, and that's all you got to do.
It might be a little tough for Carolina. They're at
58. Oh, they're
56.
at 56?
Yeah.
Well, that changes everything.
That's why I think Carolina, they're going to sell. They're one of the teams that's on the edge of falling off. In the Western Conference, Minnesota's 84 points, Chicago 77, St. Louis 67. That's the Central Division. Pacific Division, San Jose was 77 points, Edmonton was 72, Anaheim was 72. Edmonton has 3 games in hand on Anaheim.
This is a discussion for another day, but Edmonton, second in their division, still legitimately bad.
Nashville.
I've seen some stats.
Well, you know what? We'll bring it up next show.
Sure.
Nashville, 64 points in 58 games. Calgary, 62 points in 59 games. Then you've got Winnipeg with 1 point out, 62 games, 61 points. LA's got 60 points. Vancouver's got 58. Dallas,
how are they still there?
Dallas, 56. And then Arizona, 49. Colorado, 35. 35 points.
Colorado's so bad.
Anyway.
Oh my God, they're so bad. Wow.
Yeah. And one last quick thing. There are rumors about teams wanting depth forwards, right? And you know Brian Boyle is going to cost a first-round pick. Would somebody take a chance on Mike Richards?
I did see someone suggest that. I don't think the Leafs do it.
No. Because not because of anything Mike Richards has done recently, but I would say that if you've got a bunch of young guys in the dressing room and you've got a guy who's had the issues he's had, you just go, you know what? I wish you the best, but I'm not going to take that chance.
Yeah, maybe it's unfair to Mike Richards to think this way, but that was the first thing I thought of, and I was like, nope.
But a veteran team, maybe.
Allergic.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Let's do the press conference, shall we? Told you there's a lot of ground to cover.
I'm trying to roll up my rim right now without my teeth.
Dangle press
Why don't you just flatten the cup and... No, Steve, here.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
I'm doing it.
Steve.
King
Oh!
King Lochner, 16, wants to know
I want a coffee.
if Flowrida's Cake, the new song, is the song of the summer.
I haven't heard it
As
yet.
a Kiss 925 DJ. What is your opinion?
I think it's a little early. I think a song of the summer normally comes out in April, May. Jesse, you would agree with that, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Like Iggy Azalea Fancy, I'd like to see when that came out, because that was definitively the song of the summer that year. California Girls from Katy Perry didn't come out till June, and it was the song of the summer way back in like 2010, 2011. Not that I wasn't a huge fan of California Girls, but it was easily the most played song on the radio that particular year.
So the Oscars and the Grammys are relatively close together, right?
They are.
2 weeks.
So I saw a video from these like movie critics, or they have a movie critic YouTube channel, and they made an entire video called "Fuck You, It's January," which basically like it's right before Oscar season, but because you were released in January, you're not even eligible for Oscar contention. So it's when all the movie studios just go, here's some shit.
Yeah,
and they
January's
just
a
dump
bad
your
month.
plate full of shit. Is February that for music? Fuck you, it's February.
No, because
No.
the calendar for music releases eligibility for the Grammys is different. It's September to September.
This is why I asked.
And a lot of artists time their releases for the Grammys, like Katy Perry did this year, so they can perform them. Very important.
I wondered why she was all of a sudden back in everything
Of course,
after
you
not
want
hearing.
Katy Perry if you're the Grammys,
okay.
and Katy Perry wants the Grammys. It's a perfect fit.
So we did one question for Adam. Now one question for Steve.
Okay.
After watching your LFR on Saturday,
How good was it? Sorry.
Ron Shore started to wonder something. Are we getting ahead of ourselves as fans of the Leafs? Do we truly believe that this is a playoff team? Or would we just be taking advantage of a weak Atlantic division?
Well, it's not weak. I've stopped looking at it that way. It's just, well, I mean, they certainly lack the monsters of the Metro, but it's even. It's super even. Like, there's no monsters, but there's also really no weak teams. Like, even Detroit, they're in it. Buffalo's in it. Leafs are in it. Like, everyone's in it.
I would say that this year you've got so much parity, to Steve's point, that you've got three monsters that are all in the same division. Columbus,
Arguably 4.
yeah.
Like
New
the
York.
Rangers have 77 points.
Right, and Henrik Lundqvist somehow found time to struggle. How is that possible?
Right.
So you've got those four teams, and then you've got pretty well everybody else. So is it taking advantage of a weak team, or is it being, if you were to look at the standings in a different way, like the way we used to, which was, top three teams that won their division were at the top of the standings.
Yeah.
And then there was like the bottom five. Are the Leafs number 6 or number 7 the bottom in the top 8? And that's how I would look at it. I think the Leafs are a playoff team if they can keep it together, if they can be consistent, and that's going to be hard for them because they're young. They're very young. Am I going to be disappointed if they make the playoffs? If they don't make the playoffs? Absolutely. But to be fair, it won't be like crushing disappointment, like holy crap, we needed to be there.
Disappointed, but I won't dwell on it.
Yes.
What happens this year happens. And I said that when Kyprios was in studio before the season even began. If they miss next year, I'm going to be pissed. Adam's looking at his phone.
I just got something free. Came down the pike
Okay.
Congratulations, you've won access to meet Curtis McElhaney.
What?
The Toronto Maple Leafs, because I'm signed up as one of their fan club. So I can meet Curtis McElhaney. I don't know when, but it's
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I got that too.
You should sign up for the app.
It's
Well, I don't have the app.
Well, you should. It gives you the updates. It's amazing. Anyway, sorry, I just thought I'd throw that out there. I might meet.
I thought you like won a contest live.
No,
on
I
air.
didn't. Yeah, so that's what I would say. I would say is that are they taking advantage? Sure, but you have to take advantage. You have to take advantage, and the Leafs are so much better than they were last year that I think to even have them in this discussion is an accomplishment in itself, right? To even say playoffs and Leafs, really, that's an accomplishment. Just to say,
Other than the Leafs have no shot at the.
yes, which was really the last 10 years. Last
final question. Is Adam Wilde more famous than we initially thought, Steve Dangle?
Oh, jeez.
100%. Someone commented on his height in the elevator on our way up here.
Oh,
Yeah, they're like, you are exactly as tall as I thought you would be. Which, when you think about it, is a psychotic thing to say to someone. But they were just trying to be nice.
My question pertains to back in December, Adam got me this lovely sweater here with the St. Pat's logo on it.
That is very...
How did Mr. Famous Adam Wilde get access to the new St. Pat's logo before the rest of the world?
What?
I actually, I'll be honest with you. That was a real sports purchase. I walked into the store and it was there.
Maybe.
So
They've made
Adam
mistakes
has-
in the past.
Well-
Retail mistakes.
Maybe Adam actually secretly works for the Leafs.
I don't.
And
By the way,
he's best friends with Lou.
I can't be the only one who saw the Leafs announce all that St. Pat's shit and go, fuck, all right, here's my money.
Yep.
The second I saw it, I'm like,
That might be my.
this is going to be expensive.
That might be my Matthews jersey.
My birthday is in a month. It's in less than a month.
Hint, hint.
The Centennial jerseys are still better.
Less than a month. Mom, if you're listening, and I know you do sometimes, sorry for the potty mouth. Birthday's in a few
I'm
weeks.
glad my parents don't listen. They'd be so disappointed. More disappointed than they would.
She never says anything, so.
God bless her.
Just like, oh yeah, I listened the other day. And I'm like, okay.
Shit.
Don't listen to the really early ones.
All right, we're done for today. Steve is going to be super late for his workout, bruh. And Iggy's going to be crossing his legs at the door like, please, someone let me out.
Let me in.
We're out of here. We will be back on Thursday when I'm sure, an hour from now, we will have a huge trade break. It will be the straw that stirs the drink.
Yeah, here's the last question.
In the words of this reporter.
It is exactly in 3, 2, 1, 2:48 p.m. How long will it take the show to be out of date?
Hour and a half.
Wow.
Hour and a
What's the game tonight?
Leafs.
Final score.
9-0.
Thank you.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.